weird reason. Alright, welcome to HUMANE Mind Live, episode 131. And the background's a little different for me because I have moved. I'm in my new apartment, so I'm still figuring out how to stage everything. So right now it's just a blank wall in the background, but I don't know if I want to have any of the rest of the apartment visible or not. Or I was also thinking maybe open the curtain and then have the background be that this nice window that takes up the entire wall, and although that might be a little too much.
I think you're probably better off with just the walls. I mean, I've got doors behind me, just doors, lots of doors. I've had questions in other video chats. It's just all kinds of doors.
Well,
just leave the wall.
the
It's
other
it's
thing I'm
nice.
thinking is right behind me is just this blank white wall, so I could hang a green
Oh,
sheet. I could either use that white wall as a green screen or hang a green sheet or a blue sheet and then make that have a background that'll either cycle through or something along those lines. But that's a possibility as well. And I mean, I got that wall, but also the wall in front of me is also a blank wall. So there you go.
just drop a green screen and paste like the holograph from Blade Runner 2049. There you
Yeah. Wait, what's the hologram? I don't know. It's like, I
go. You
think I know what you're
did you
talking
watch that movie?
about. No, I didn't watch that one.
It's I don't know what's her name. It's a naked somebody. Really pretty lady. But I don't remember her name. Armis something. Armis the
Uh,
Anna Anna de Armas. I don't know.
mm.
So something like that. Just a holograph lady that's like in the background on probably a quarter of the movie.
All right.
But she's got like bright blue hair, pink skin, just bleep, hologram. So that's what I was thinking. You hologram in the
Yeah,
background.
that's what I was thinking.
Never
I've
mind.
seen the picture
Moving
of
on.
the lady
Moving
with the
on.
blue hair from that, but I don't know anything else about it. I haven't seen the movie, but all right. And so today we'll be
Wait, you don't watch previews?
no, I mean they didn't show. They just show her face and her hair, and she's like popping out of a screen or something like that. It's like 3D
I mean,
projection or something.
she's like the virtual girlfriend of Ryan Gosling. Yeah, never mind. Let's
It's
continue
not
with this
important.
stream. You can watch the movie later.
All right.
Watch the movie later.
Maybe I'll get around to it. So, main topic of this episode is fight the patriarchy. That's worse coming out than it was typing it.
That sounds terrible. That sounds like 4 years ago.
No, it's something more
Like
recent.
patriarch.
Yeah, but it's the Patreonarchy anyway. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Patriarch. Okay, okay. No, I got it. I thought you just said patriarchy, like in
No, it's
general.
the Patreonarchy.
Patreonarchy.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, and then the defining of Isaac. I was trying to figure out a better way to.
Okay. I don't know why you referenced that game.
Because it seemed to fit, and I was looking for something that rhymed with binding and.
I
So
okay. Understood.
okay, and then my girlfriend, who is a doctor. That's a obvious Ben Shapiro reference. Um, but it'll make more sense once I show the video. Diversity done right. S'more reunions, Maui-Wowie, and then a really amazing ending clip, which I don't know how I haven't seen this before, because it's
Man,
apparently a series, and this so.
you have like 8 different topics.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them, but most of these are pretty short. So the main one is going to be this Patreonarchy thing, because that's pretty extensive. So I don't know if you've been, if you're aware of this, because Sargon of Akkad did a video about it, Tim Pool did a video about it. Lawrence.
I've only heard big rumorings, but never watched any substantive stuff on it. So
So
I will
Lauren
need to refresh.
Southern hasn't done a video on it, but she has been posting on Twitter, and Mike Cernovich also was posting on Twitter and has done.
I thought Lawrence Southern got banned like 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, but
Something
this is regarding her, Sargon of Akkad, Milo Yiannopoulos, and Owen Benjamin, which I am
like
4 for 4 on that. So let me, I guess before. So the situation is on Patreon. I was a subscriber to Lauren Southern, Sargon of Akkad, and Milo Yiannopoulos. And just it was something like $5 or $10 a month or something. Nothing major, nothing substantial. But they had a lot of Patreons on that platform. Lauren Southern was the first to go, and then Milo, and then Carl Benjamin. After Carl Benjamin was kicked off, they changed their service terms. I left after Lauren Southern got kicked off. So I left before Milo got kicked off, before Sargon, before, and so Owen Benjamin, I wasn't a subscriber or I wasn't a patron of him on the Patreon platform, but when he had his Unbearables stuff, I was a contributor to that. So I guess Owen Benjamin is. I guess I'm not quite 0 for 4. It depends on how you're looking at it, because I'm not 0 for 4 on the Patreon platform, but all 4 of those people who were kicked off of Patreon, I was a contributor at one point in time or another. Three of them on the Patreon platform specifically. So I guess I'm 3 for 3 there, and then and Owen Benjamin, I've talked about him on this channel before, and yeah, he went too far out there for me, so that's when I was like, yeah, no, cut that subscription. I'm not, nothing going that direction. So the other thing is, right now, let's see, I can't remember if I am on Subscribe Star or Sargon. Okay, something just happened with the lawsuit. So the lawsuit started because of Owen Benjamin. So Owen Benjamin sued Patreon, but that court case was dismissed. So what Owen Benjamin's fans did is they each filed claims against Patreon. And Mike Cernovich is going to kind of explain a little bit why that changes everything.
So Patreon, like every other website, has terms of service. And these terms of service limit your rights as a consumer. Under the terms of service, all class actions are banned, and all claims must be arbitrated individually. That matters. That matters a lot. And I'll tell you why. So if you're a Patreon user, you can't file a class action. You have to go to arbitration by yourself. Okay. Those are the rules. So what happened was Owen Benjamin was banned from Patreon. Owen Benjamin was banned from Patreon. Here's why that matters. Under California law, when you do arbitration, the big guy, the company, has to pay your fees. So Owen Benjamin got banned from Patreon, and then hundreds of his fans, who they call the Bears, filed individual arbitration actions against Patreon. Under a new California law, Patreon has to pay each arbitration fee up front.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Is so they had 100.
I see what's happening.
Filing for arbitration against them, they had to pay fees for every one of those.
A bunch of Californians said, yeah, screw you guys. You banned this guy. Now we're coming after you. And so they're paying for every single one of them.
They as long as they are using the Patreon service, they can sue, because Patreon is the headquarters in California. Even if you
I don't think it would matter if their headquarters is in California. It's California law to where they're allowed to do that.
California law applies to Patreon and their terms of service. So any user can file for arbitration, and it has to go under California law for Patreon.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not just users in California; it's users wherever.
Now I can see why that's a massive issue.
So
I mean, he even had 1,000 users behind him. That's a good chunk of money.
Yeah.
Owen Benjamin, having been with the crowd that he had stuck with for a while, he's got tens of thousands of people following him and saying, what just happened? No, we're not having it.
Yeah. So Owen Benjamin has tens of thousands, but Lauren Southern and Sargon, I think they had over 100,000 each on the Patreon platform.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
Very easy. Yes.
Because I mean, he's got what 100,000 subs or 300,000. This is his Akkad
On
daily.
YouTube, Sargon of Akkad has like 5 million subscribers.
Yeah.
He's
So I don't know if Lauren Southern
a
was
lot.
up in the millions on her channel, but she was
Yep.
definitely several 100,000 on her channel, and like it was something like a third of her subscribers were also patrons.
Mm-hmm.
So, or I don't know if that's the exact number, but it was a very significant portion of her audience also were contributing through Patreon. That's how she was able to do her
Okay.
documentary, like Borderless and Farmland, where they were contributing to that Patreon account, and that was cut off from her, and so then she moved to other platforms to finance them independently. But
Now I can see why that's huge. That's hundreds of thousands of people
yeah.
looking for arbitration.
So the lawsuit that Patreon lost is Patreon was trying to combine all this arbitration into a class action lawsuit, even though their terms of service stated they had to be filed, arbitration had to be filed individually. Patreon was like, we can't afford that. Let's combine it all into a single class action lawsuit because then that's something we can't afford. The judge ruled against them, and now they have to.
Because if the original statement said you must come individually, that's what they said. You can't. It's not after all the punishment comes forward, and you're like, oh, let me change the rules all of a sudden.
Yeah.
This was stated before all of this was put forward. Yeah, they deserve everything coming to them.
Yeah. So it's pretty funny.
And the fact that Patreon kowtowed to a bunch of nobodies just to kick off millions of people who were patrons of these people, what are they expecting? How could they have not seen that coming with their own terms of service?
Because they're leftist and they don't think anything forward.
I mean, are they thinking if we segregate everyone into individual pockets, they won't come for us?
Well, usually it's cheaper to do that in arbitration than it is for the court cases. But with California law being the way it is, and that they have to pay all the arbitration fees up front, they can't do it after the arbitration is taken care of. Like, usually when it comes to arbitration, they may pay like a retainer fee for whoever's doing the arbitration, all that sort of thing. But once the decision is finalized, then the arbiter gets the full fund or however much for the and whoever's
whatever.
Whoever's deemed the party at fault will pay the fees and that sort of stuff. But with the way California law is right now, they have to pay it up front. And then if the arbitrator decides in the favor of Patreon versus the other person, then the fees are reversed. And then Patreon will get its money back. But but if you have thousands of people all filing at the same time and you have to pay all the fees up front, Patreon does not make very much money, and that's the thing that's kind of crazy. Sargon was talking about this, and I think a couple other people were talking about this. Patreon is not profitable.
There's pennies up the top.
Patreon is not profitable. They are still running in the red, and it's like, what? they keep requesting funds and they keep doing things to charge the contributors more and more money because they're not financially stable. And it's like, you don't do much of anything. You say, hey, we'd like to support these creators. They're creating all the stuff. We're taking money from fans, putting it into an account, and then giving that money to the creator of their choice.
They are a middleman, and they're not doing a good job at it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, so when I was looking at them last time, they were charging like a 5% or something like that. I think right now it is 7%, or it's 5%. So they have already had, it was 5% plus their banking fees. So I was like, wait, how are you still not making money in that? You should be making 5% off of everything that's donated or contributed. So, and they've got people who are earning 30,000. Like a single individual is earning 30,000. That means Patreon is earning what 5% of 30,000 is.
No, the reason I'm not making money is because they started getting bigwigs on their channel.
Mhm.
I can pretty much guarantee they allowed people onto Patreon without that surcharge.
Or something like that. It's like that's the only thing I could think of.
They're saying, "Hey, I think you're going to
they
blow up big, and so we're going to provide for a while. You just hop on." And that's
why I got stuck on 30,000. But they have paid several $1 million to people on their platform, which means they should have 5% of $1 million to
Correct.
pay their staff and all that other
So,
stuff.
in your mind, if you owned a business and you said every time you do business with me, I get this percentage, it should be surefire.
Yeah.
No matter who comes in, you get that percentage. How could they be going in the red?
Yeah, they're
Because
paying.
they
They have too
invited
many people on
people
their
and
staff. They're paying their staff
who
too
can
much
have-
money. They don't know how to streamline
Correct.
the business. This business should be very
They
easy.
probably had that stupid shit like what's her name, Captain Marvel lady who was doing her Brie Larson, right? She started her YouTube, and I'm pretty sure she's got a Patreon. She didn't pay for bathwater girl with the braces.
Belle Delphine. I don't know if she does. If she
Yeah,
does Patreon,
whatever.
but...
People buying her. I'm pretty sure she's getting some cutbacks, and there's all these people just online getting cutbacks.
Yeah, well, the other thing
because
is
some big people on here, and these are the most subscribed, and they gave too many cutbacks to the people.
So the other
who
thing,
should
so Patreon lost some of their biggest providers. Like Dave Rubin, Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson all left within the same month. And Sam Harris was their biggest channel on Patreon at the time when he left. And you're talking about somebody who's getting, I think he was earning over, it was, I don't know if it was over 100,000 a month or if it was over $1 million a month. I can't remember the exact number.
At that point, they should have examined and said, okay, Dave Rubin, he's kind of in the middle.
That was free money that walked out the door. And they let him walk away.
How would they have lost Sam Harris?
They lost him because they kicked Carl Benjamin off.
Yeah.
Well,
that dude is very left and just in complete denial, but still a smart guy. I actually like some of the stuff Sam Harris has to say, but to lose him, what a dedicated
he said specifically, I am leaving because they kicked Carl Benjamin off. Carl Benjamin did not break any of their terms of service, and they kicked him off anyway. That's over the line for me.
Well, as much as I have disagreement with Sam Harris, intellectual guy, and dude actually at least has some medium-sized testicles. So you're at testicles. Good for him for being a guy, being someone who will stand up and have some balls.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that. That sounds good.
Yeah, he left for a good reason, but that hurt Patreon because he was their biggest channel at the time, and
I'm sure he took a hit.
Yeah, I mean they were just collecting that money without having to do much anything. They're automated, like all the systems that they do. It's all automated. It doesn't take any kind of. Nobody has to do anything. It's not like they have to pay somebody to monitor the stuff. It's just money that comes in every month, and then they get a percentage. Easiest.
Then I would say Sam Harris took a loss, standing by what he believes, and so
I don't know if he's still taking a loss because Subscribestar grew substantially because most of the people who left Patreon moved over to Subscribestar. They've moved over to other platforms.
Sure, but still, I can give him his balls back and say, hey, good for you. Stand up for something right. Yeah.
Yeah, but he
I don't
agree left Patreon without a surefire, without a solid
So that's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying. It to me, his man card has been. Yeah, you're good. You got it.
It's somewhat restored. It's not completely there, but
yeah. So at least I could say that. So good on him.
And everybody else. Yeah, he's about halfway to getting some sense. He's still like Lawrence Krauss is still terrible. Richard Dawkins is still still terrible, but
Yeah.
Sam Harris is kind of in between, and I'm like, okay, I can deal with that.
I mean, he's at least trying to. Fine, he's an atheist, but he's not like bashing Christians. He's just saying, "Let me understand." He
definitely
just
seems more open to hearing opposite opinions because he is a member of the dark web, so that means
So,
he does conversations.
And
with
the fact that he can
and
stick
Ben Shapiro
with this type of and the fact that he can stick with this type of pushback. Hey, that's great. Yeah, that's
so he's
if
not,
you're going to
he
meet
hasn't
somebody
lost
on
his
the
mind
liberal or on the left.
far left.
Sam Harris is the guy you want to talk with because he's the only guy that would actually talk with you.
Yeah.
Everyone else is going to clam up and call you a racist or a fascist.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, Lawrence Krauss
So,
and Richard Dawkins have gone. They've took they took the blue pill and went super far left. And it's like, dude, I didn't like you guys when you were just atheists, and now you guys don't even believe your own scientific discoveries because you've bought into the whole intersectionalism. You're like, because there's something, I forget what the exact statement was, but Richard Dawkins was talking about something, and it has to do with gender theory and all of that. And he basically said something about there not being biological sex, and I'm like, your claim to fame is that you are a biologist. What? You are an evolutionary biologist, and here you are claiming that there's no such thing as men and women. What?
I mean, so why is it you could say there's somebody that is completely opposite of all of my beliefs, but there's still something, at least a bit of integrity, something I could stand up for and say, okay, I'll give you props. I'm good on that. Why is it possible? It's because those are the ideals of a common sense person of, I may not believe what you believe, but the fact that you're strong, you're adamant, and you have at least a modicum of common sense, that I can get behind. Not necessarily this, but
I think it's more like you have principles and you're sticking with them, because you can look at Richard Dawkins and you're like, well, you act like you have principles, but everything you're saying is a lie because you don't even believe the stuff that you're saying because you just change it on a whim. So at least Sam Harris, I think he's wrong, but he actually believes what he says. He's consistent with it. He's applying it.
And that's somebody willing. That's somebody you can have a discussion with. That's somebody that you can say, if we will have a discussion, you're not going to flip flop. You got your principles. I appreciate that. I think that's your average person.
So
stick with what you got.
To circle this back to the Patreon issue. So the way it works is you had to have had a Patreon account and you had to have been a subscriber to Milo Yiannopoulos, Sargon of Akkad, or Lauren Southern, or somebody else who got kicked off of Patreon's platform. Mostly right now they're focusing on Sargon of Akkad and Lauren Southern. And you have to have left the platform before their terms of service changed in January of this year. So I left the platform after they kicked Lauren Southern off. That's when I said, okay, I'm canceling my account. Anybody I was subscribed to, I'll figure out some other way to resubscribe to them on other platforms and stuff like that. And I just cut my Patreon account. So I am still eligible to participate in this. And I'm currently contemplating this because this is something I just found out yesterday, that this whole situation was going on. Actually, no, I guess it was Sunday because, so I just found out about this a couple of days ago, and I'm like, oh, I could do so I could file for arbitration. There's a little more to it than just that. Patreon has to file all the upfront fees, because while that's going to cost Patreon a lot of money up front, and what Cernovich is saying, based on the number of people who are probably eligible to participate in this between Lauren Southern and Sargon's Patreons that they had on the platform when they were kicked off, there is enough where Patreon could have to pay millions in just arbitration fees and they would have to pay more in legal fees on top of that. So let's see.
Varies from 2,500 to 10,000. That's not legal fees. That's just jams fees. That's just arbitration fees. So Patreon, when they have all these arbitration demands, hundreds, Patreon now has to go 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 2,500, 5,000, depending on the amount of money. But you can see the numbers get really big quickly. Patreon goes, holy shit, our terms of service actually don't apply. And they went and they sued all the bears who had moved for arbitration. Isn't that something? So Patreon said in its terms of service, you have to seek arbitration only. You can't sue us in court, and you can't do class actions or group actions one-on-one. So then when the bears followed the procedures, Patreon then went and sued them all. They saw it was called an injunction in California court. So when I saw that happen, I go, well, they're going to lose. Patreon's going to lose the case. But the social justice reporters like, LOL, Owen Benjamin gets his fans sued. They're going to lose in court. Like, no, they're not. Just under pretty, clearly established California law, they're not. Yeah, and sure enough, there was a hearing that I reported. Preliminary injunction denied. Yeah. In other words, motion for a preliminary injunction has been denied. Arbitrations are going to go legal fees, and they're also going to face arbitrations because Patreon unilaterally altered their terms of service in a way that's illegal under California law. So a number of people, myself included, may sue Patreon because as a consumer of Patreon, I have rights, and Patreon unilaterally altered its terms of service in a way that's unconscionable under California law. Right? So Patreon, if enough creators move for, if 100 creators move for arbitration against Patreon right now, which they could do under California law, then Patreon would be bankrupt. I don't want them to go bankrupt. I think Patreon does a huge service. I'm very conflicted here.
Yeah.
A lot I have a Patreon because if I tell people, then that'll, but it would be a net bad for see things because I'm not like a lot of you narcissists.
I think maybe I skipped over it, or it was later on in the video, but I'm not going to bother searching for it because he mentions a rough estimate of the amounts, because he mentioned 2,500 to 10,000. That's the cost of each arbitration. So even if you took the low number, 2,500, you're talking about, between Sargon and Lawrence Southern Span, you could easily get 100,000, which means they got to pay what was that? Man, I got to do math here.
Well, he also mentioned the initial suit was dropped, but because they changed their policy, I guess mid-suit, or they changed their policy against California law.
So
in the middle of terms of service, that it actually affected other people. Yeah.
So they created
either they faced arbitration on the original suit, or they faced arbitration on what happened after the fact.
They faced arbitration from all of the fans who left before the change of service, who left because they kicked off Sargon and Lauren.
Correct. But they also faced arbitration because it shifted after, if California says, we're going to dismiss this, but now you change your terms of service due to these people, and now you've violated the terms of contract
because
a bunch of other people.
So everybody who is currently on the platform, they're like, we didn't agree to the change of service. We signed up to this platform before that change of service, and our fans and all that sort of stuff, you changed this on us, you didn't give us any kind of forewarning, and that affected our ability to communicate with our fans. And so that there's a grounds for arbitration on there, because like you said, that the change that they did to their terms of service after they kicked Sargon off, it looks more than likely, and I'm going with Cernovich's judgment on this, that it was a violation of California law when they did that. And so there's grounds for arbitration on that. So what I was saying, low
either
end,
way,
so between Sargon and Lauren, it is easy to say that there are likely 100,000 people who would still be eligible to file these arbitrations And if all of them did, Patreon would be looking at having to pay a minimum of $250 million up front. That would more than bankrupt the company. But there are some things that Sargon pointed out and a couple other people have been talking about. Patreon could get bailed out, right? They've been able to fundraise $100 million, $50 million in the past, things like that. They could
bailed out.
Well, I mean, Soros could throw them $250 million and not break a sweat because he does, So there's that chance on that. So it is somewhat risky. The other thing is the people filing for arbitration. They're looking at a fee. What I think Sargon mentioned is $250. So for the people filing the arbitration, it's going to cost them $250 to start the process. If they lose, they might also have to pay other fees and depending on the judgment passed. So paying $250, but see the difference is you pay $250, Patreon has to pay $2,500. They're multiplying your $250 by it costs them 10 times more for every person that does this. The other thing is once the arbitration is settled, this is what they were talking about, legal fees, is once the arbitration is settled, in order to get money from each of these people that filed arbitration, more than likely, Patreon would have to sue them to get the funds. Because they're like, yeah, we went through arbitration, and this person owes us $50,000, but they don't have $50,000. Or at least they're claiming they don't have $50,000. It's like, yeah, because a lot of these people are college students, people, who are out of high school, some of them still in high school,
So wait, they allow accounts to go into debt on Patreon, like?
I'm saying after if the arbitrate, like, well, I don't know what maybe they wouldn't have to pay $50,000, but let's say they had to pay the $10,000 fee, right? So Patreon fronted the cash to do arbitration. They fronted $10,000. The other person only put $250, so now they've got to pay the rest, right? They've got to make up the $9,750. And so Patreon would have to sue them to get that $9,750 because most of the people who would be filing for arbitration don't have $10,000 lying around to pay Patreon.
Oh, okay.
So
I gotcha.
If Patreon did that, they'd have to pay for lawyers and go through the courts and get this other person. Like, well, this person owes us this money, and how do we get them to actually pay up? It'd be very difficult.
Well, I would say ultimately it kind of boils down to that go woke, go broke scenario. It's just your average person isn't having it. Stop doing that.
So it's kind of a two-edged sword. It's like for every dollar you spend in arbitration, Patreon has to match it at least tenfold. But should you lose your arbitration, and that's kind of up in the air, where it's not clear legally whether the arbitration would fall in your favor or not. Legally, you can go for the arbitration, but there's no guarantee that the arbitrator would file in your favor. And it looks more and more like the arbitration would go in Patreon's favor because of their terms of service. So the idea behind this is kind of a nuke them up front, and then they won't be able to retaliate because they'll have too much debt. Their head will be underwater. They won't have, by the time everything gets settled out in court, they won't be able to come after anybody and actually recuperate anything. But like I said, if they were able to a fundraiser and raise several $100 million for this cause, or if they were able to get bailed out by a, Bloomberg, or Soros type figure that's just going to throw money at them to keep them afloat, then they could come back and then finish out if they could survive the initial onslaught, then they might be able to come back and actually cost people more money. Like
I really hope not,
man. I hope that doesn't, but that is a risk factor. But
That's true.
So the other thing
It,
that Cernovich
well,
mentions
I don't
is there are a lot of people who would be collateral damage. So while I do like the idea of Patreon going bankrupt and disappearing and being replaced by
Yep, I can
companies
see that.
actually do what they, provide a service that customers want and creators need. There are plenty of services out there that do that right now. Subscribestar, they're just they don't even do their own payment processing or anything like. Well, neither did Patreon. Patreon was using PayPal for all their stuff, but Subscribestar does the same thing, and Subscribestar is very very stable. I haven't heard any complaints from any of the other contributors who switched over to Subscribestar. They've been getting their money.
If they just stick with the platform of you got subscribers and they're putting donations, that's all we do.
Yeah.
Not
So, yeah,
nothing more.
they are providing a service and they're
We're
getting
not
paid.
going to
And
our political ideology in it. Just leave it. It could be left or right. Who cares?
there was another one that Quartering mentioned something similar. Fan something. I don't remember the name. Something with fan in it. But so there's services like that that are popping up that are filling the need that Patreon is not fulfilling. Because Patreon's fees, they're too high. Again, it's poorly run. The people who are behind it don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to manage a business. They don't know how to run a tech company. And yeah, I left because of their manifest observable behavior nonsense. And yeah, but I'm gonna say this for this purpose of the stream. I was so fed up with the system and everybody's like, oh, well, just go build your own. And so I'm like, yeah, why don't I just go build my own? I've got a background in programming and web design. I am very familiar with distributed ledgers, which is like what Bitcoin uses in their blockchain technology. Although, for the purposes of a payment system, and well, because I wanted to do more than just what Patreon, to do what Patreon did. That's easy. That's something you could throw together in a couple of weeks. The only problem there is how do you get the initial financing for it, and you've got to establish API connections with various banks to process payments and all that sort of stuff. Or you have to pay the service fees for PayPal and stuff like that. And by the end, your actual income for providing that service is going to be very, very low. If you're charging 5%, well, 4% of that is going to PayPal. You'd be getting 1% per transaction. In order to keep your business afloat, you have to make sure there's at least, several hundred, maybe several thousands of transactions per month. Otherwise, you're going to be losing money on that project every month. And that's what I was seeing on my system. I was like, okay, I need to find some way where I can have a small pool of consumers. And I said, what I did when I figured this out and was doing my initial calculations, I was like, okay, this is how much it's going to cost me to run my system every month. In order to meet that with the fees that I'm charging, I need a minimum of 15,000 users who pay at least $1 per month. And that should be enough to sustain this system and keep it afloat. Anything above that is just going to be gravy, right? That was my initial prediction, or my initial not prediction, estimation. That's a better word. My initial estimates of how much it would cost to run, how much, I was like, okay, I need 15,000 users on my system on day one. That's enough to keep the system stable. It's not going to be taking money out of my pocket every month. And as the system grows, there are fixed costs which will remain the same regardless of how many users I have. There are the amount of variable costs are very minimal. So even though once it gets up to 100,000 users, my costs will go up, they will only go up slightly. They're not going to go up to match the same 100,000. It's going to go up. It's going to go up, but I'm going to be making significantly more than the cost. And it's like, okay, that's where you'd make your money. You'd have a stable platform, and you can actually use that extra money to build on the platform and provide the additional services. So that's what I went in with there with the impression is like, okay, in order for that system, I have to be my own payment processor. And I was thinking, so that means I'd need dedicated servers. Yeah, so I had a game plan mapped out for all of this, and I have the software, I needed the hardware, and I needed users to be user interest, and I never got the user interest. I never got any outside support, and I got some outside support and some user interest, but it was in the numbers of the hundreds, not the thousands I would have needed to launch. So others succeeded where I was not able to. I still plan on releasing that because I think I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago, and I did register the domain for Funderground and oh man and
Was it Funfair?
but yeah, so it's Funderground and Fairground. Yeah, that was man. Don't know why I was drawing a blank on the other one. So I've got those domains now. So I've got Funderground and Fairground, and the idea is that you put them both together and then you get Funfair. But I wanted the individual websites, so I got those. I mean, those were cheap. They're like $12 or something like that. Nothing to, nothing to break the bank. And I also got Fair Market for an idea so eventually those will be out, and I just made sure that I got a hold of them before the price shot up on anything like that. So within the next 2 years, I think I can actually go forward with those initiatives, launch my own platform. That is, if the world makes it to that point. If we all
We're all gonna
survive
die.
2 years from now.
Pandemic issues. Yeah.
Pandemic and
We'll see what happens.
War with China. Yeah. But that is the plan to eventually compete with Patreon. And in light of that, so that's the other thing that's I kind of want to participate in this attack on Patreon because I think it's kind of necessary considering what Patreon did to just screw over so many people. It would be justice. They had it coming. But on the off chance that this arbitration ends up taking years to take place, 2 years, if it ends up taking more than a year, that means they could come back and sue me, and I am not like some of these other people who don't have much. I was like, yeah, I've got a very good paying job right now, and should I lose arbitration and get sued or something along those lines, they could come after me and actually make money on me.
So what's the less risky scenario in all of this? What's the less risky scenario? Just watch it unfold.
Yeah, less
dissipate.
risky scenario is just have the other people do it and watch and kind of cheer them on, and because it's like.
And as your bro, I would advocate for that. I understand the sentiment and wanting to get behind all of it, and as much as I dislike Patreon for being dipshits and
right now I'm making enough annually where they could actually come after me and make money on, as opposed to losing money. The idea is they should lose money because they're a terrible company.
Yeah.
So
I understand. I just not a risk taker when it comes to my
it has the chance. It has so the idea is I pay $250 and then they would have to pay 10 times that, and then they would likely never recover the money. But there is that chance they could. It's probably not going to be enough to save them if they actually want a case against me. But they could probably.
Well, even if,
they could probably.
So think about
something like 15,000 to 20,000 out of me.
Even if the arbitration went through and you did the $250 to file this arbitration suit just on your individual self and everything got paid back, you're looking at it income or a net increase 10 times. Fine, 2,500. Who knows when that'll ever come through?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know, man. It's on a principle base. I get why you would.
Principle, but I think I've got more to lose than I stand to gain. Where there are a lot of other people who have nothing to lose and everything to gain, as far as hopefully there's enough of them that are in a situation where they didn't log back into Patreon. They still have their stuff canceled. They did not accept the new terms of service, and then they can file that arbitration. But I think no matter what I do, Patreon is looking at a bankruptcy. So I don't think I am necessary to participate, and I know that seems kind of. I've got that. I kind of want to have skin in the game, but it's not worth the risk. You're right. But this is interesting, and I've been telling everybody or any of the YouTube channels that I subscribe to, I've been telling them to leave Patreon, go to Subscribestar, go to something else. With there are still some holdouts that are still going on Patreon. I don't know why. So one that really irks me is Matt Pat from Game Theory. I know he's probably not looking at the comments.
Yeah, well, because he's not a political guy.
He's not a political guy, but he's still on Patreon. I'm like, dude, you're getting ripped off. There are other companies that do the same thing, charge lower fees, you actually make more money. Go over there, dude. It's a no-brainer. Just leave Patreon. Not only are they not reliable, they're like one of the more expensive services.
From his channel perspective, if he were to boycott or leave and go to something else, it may be considered as a political move. Everything I'm saying, he's trying his darndest to just say, I'm out of it. Leave me alone. Don't talk about this. I just want to do my channel. I just want to,
He keeps coming up with solutions to try to save YouTube, and I'm like, dude, you've got enough influence. You could do your own thing. Yeah.
Those are his own conspiracies. Where I'm looking at him like, dude, you have failed on those. Sorry. I can watch your, Five Nights at Freddy's theories, but on the YouTube stuff, you just got screwed. You're just gonna have to deal with that. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a little it's a little frustrating to see something like, how can you not see that? How are you so blind to what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. What's her name? Man, why am I forgetting her name? Marvel lady.
Brie Larson, yeah.
Right. Yeah. She started up a YouTube channel and had like a couple of 100,000 people viewing on her first.
Yeah.
And now it's like to practically nobody because it's a standard YouTube channel of which people either are going to be involved or not. Just because she's a celebrity, nobody gives a shit. I don't care if Will Smith started his own channel.
Yeah, I think
if it's not entertaining,
I'm pretty sure. So Rock has one. Will Smith has one.
Really?
Brie Larson. Nobody watches them.
Who?
The only channel that a celebrity has that I know people actively watch and go to, like they actually are excited about, is Ryan Reynolds. Because he doesn't treat it like a YouTube channel. He doesn't treat it like, I'm just like one of you guys.
It's probably just himself.
Yeah, he does advertisements for his gin company, for his cell phone company, for his upcoming movies, and they are amazing. And he does little stupid skits on there. Like, it is like, okay, that if you're a celebrity, that's how you do a YouTube channel. You don't act like everybody else. I play Animal Crossing on my Switch. You want to watch me do that for 10 minutes? Well, no.
Yeah, I tried that. I gave up. I mean, I bought it. I never played Animal Crossing, but I did buy it on the Switch. Played for a couple of days. I was like, what am I doing here? I'm like fishing and catching bugs. Yeah, what is this?
I don't understand the appeal.
I have to log in every day, and I'm not gonna. It's like real time. I have to play for a year before I get back here. Are you really?
Animal Crossing is. I don't know if you ever played WoW or any type of RPG that has daily quests. Yeah, you played Final Fantasy. 14? Is that where you've got like you can do so many quests in a day, and then you're capped, and you got it. Animal Crossing is all of those types of quests as a game, and it's like, no, those are the things you put up with.
Those are the worst. that's like making you wait to play a game you already paid for.
Yeah,
Why?
Those are the things you put
Why?
up with in other games because you need to get so much of a resource in order to buy new equipment or or to get into some kind of upgraded dungeon or something like that, or open up a new area of the map. You put up with them.
You're supposed to get a
Yeah.
upgraded house and a tent, and after the end of the first day, I'm like, it's 8:00 p.m. I don't go to bed for another 4 hours. What am I supposed to do? I can't even hit the rocks anymore because they're gone.
Yeah.
What?
It's
Really?
all of the daily
I just
grind
turned
stuff
it
you
off.
hate in other games that are there to keep you playing for longer because you had a subscription fee. And like, it's a game you played for. There's no subscription fee.
I mean, it's fine. It's cutesy and whatnot, but really, you can't play anymore. It just shuts you off. You're just done for the day, and you're like, well, hey, it's great. It's 7:30. Find something else to do with your night. Thanks for paying for the game. Awesome. So yeah, I quit playing that. I just
yeah, it's like all of the worst parts of the games that I kind of enjoy. All
I'm not the type of guy that walks in for 30 minutes a day just to check my fish in my museum. I'm the kind of I can only binge for 4 hours once every 2 weeks. So when I want to binge for those 4 hours, let me do it.
Right.
Just let me play something.
Right. Okay, so we spent almost an hour on this, so the rest of these are fairly short.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next topic.
All right. This was pretty great. So I don't know if you have heard this story, but this is the Isaac that I was mentioning before.
I think when you look around, racism isn't the only thing
Can you hear that?
plagues our society.
Seems really
That plagues our nation.
I hear, but a little muted and disjointed.
Coming together on that message that we want to get past not only racism.
Oh, is that the dude who didn't kneel?
Yeah.
That plagues this other society. I feel like the answer to it is the gospel.
If I'm able to answer that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, am I able to follow up with a quick one?
Yes, please do. Go ahead.
Okay. So Jonathan, I'm asking this with all sincerity. I just want to really understand your reasoning for that. Can you just explain further what you feel like religion has to do with kneeling for the anthem to protest against racism and police brutality? The correlation between those two?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't really see it as religion for myself. I see it as a religion. Through his son who died for our sins. I feel like not only
Yeah, so his answer is
kneeling.
I don't know why it's very difficult for me to hear it on this version. I thought there was a clip of him saying, and it was coming through clear. I thought it was this video. Maybe it was a different video that I was watching, but for some reason his responses are very muffled in this version.
Yeah, I
Wear a Black Lives Matter shirt. Do you believe that Black Lives Matter?
Absolutely. I believe that Black Lives Matter. A lot went into my decision, and
yeah, I don't know why it's not coming through very clear at the moment.
So I had this theory a couple of weeks ago about Black Lives Matter. You know how there are ethnic Jews? Just they don't even ascribe to the religion; they're just Jewish by birth, part of the Jewish, ethnicity. And then there are those who are Jewish because they participate in the Jewish religion, and yet they're all Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what people mean when they say Black Lives Matter. There is the technical term from the website and the activist organization, and that means something completely different versus when you say, do Black Lives Matter? And your average person says, yeah, because they're their lives, they're people, right? Why wouldn't any lives matter? Who thinks any less of Black lives? I think it's two different terms that are now interchangeable, and you insert what means the best to get you the political advantage. The same thing as your religious Jews versus your ethnic Jews.
Yeah.
And then there are some who are both.
And then there's some people who are ethnically Jewish, and they only use that when they're like, "Oh, you're being anti-Semitic." It's like they use it as it's not two ways. It's like it's only a shield.
Correct.
It's never, you can't use it. You can't claim I'm a Jew anytime you say, "Oh, aren't you Jewish?"
It has no
I'm
effect on the rest of their life until they need to defend themselves against anti-Semitic remarks or make some sort of statement against anti-Semitism. Like, well, I'm Jewish. No, really? when have you ever been Jewish?
Well, I'm Jewish just for
That would be like
this
calling
right
us.
here, this conversation right now.
Well, that would be like calling us Korean, and we're like, when have you? Well, I eat kimchi sometimes. Sometimes I like rice and seaweed. I mean, it's tasty. It's just
It's when it's convenient.
That's what I view. Correct. That's what I view Black Lives Matter. So the idea of do Black Lives Matter? Yes, obviously. Just like do Mexican lives matter, or do white lives matter, or do Middle Eastern life? Yeah, lives matter. Just it's lives. That's the key point.
Yeah.
But there is the indoctrination. Do you agree with Black Lives Matter? Nope. That's if you're talking about the activist route, and I think this guy nailed it. He understood
his
what they were
answers
asking
were
him.
little muffled in this video. Maybe maybe it was a different video that I had pulled up.
Yeah.
But his answers, when you can hear them clearly, I was like, dude, that guy understands it completely. And his answers were very, very well thought out, very well delivered.
Yeah.
Because he says
he took the stance that your average, even your average atheist could understand. It's just, I'm going to kneel for God, and that's it. I'm not kneeling for this.
Yeah,
this is not.
He says, it's his respect for his country, and he's like, I'm going to stand during the national anthem, and I don't think kneeling and wearing a Black Lives Matter is actually the right way to call attention and to support this message. I was like, yeah. All right.
Welcome to common sense.
Yeah.
Fine.
So
that's amazing.
He made a very good answer. I was expecting him to go so far as some other people have said, Black Lives Matter, the organization, is just a Marxist front trying to use Black Lives Matter. So he didn't go there, but I can understand why, because that would have put
politics and everything out. Just simply stating, I don't think that's the right way, and I will only kneel for God.
Yeah.
So what else are you gonna ask me?
Yeah, and so the answer he gave. The answer he gave didn't give anybody any ammunition to shoot back at him. That's why it was a good answer.
Correct.
Because even the people who were kind of like, well, I disagree with him, but yeah, he's actually, I can't. That's.
I think there's still going to be people in the media, people in the news, people even on his own team or within the NBA that are going to give him some flack, that are going to push back on that. But as far as any non-political stance and just saying, I only kneel for God and I don't think this is the right way to go, that's the best answer he could have given there. And it's awesome that there are still people, even in modern, major sports and in mainstream media, just somebody with a decent head on their shoulder saying, "Yeah, let me use my brain. Let me think about things for a bit and not be a puppet."
Yeah.
So that I agree with. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but a lot of people I've been listening to and seeing comments, they're like, "Yeah, we're not even gonna watch. This guy's great, but we're not gonna watch basketball this season. We're just gonna say no," because they painted BLM on the court, and everybody's like, "Yeah, we watch sports to escape from all that. We're done."
I mean, even baseball is all it. Nobody watches sports for political ideology. That has never been a thing, and I don't understand how the MLB, the NFL, the NBA. I don't even like sports, but at least I know those organizations and have gone to some games, gone to the stadiums, bought baseball cards, football cards, participated somewhat because, I get it. It's athleticism. You got some amazing guys doing awesome things playing a sport. Nobody at any point said, who are you voting for? And do you agree with this political ideology?
So I will say something there, because usually after the game, sometimes they'll ask people questions not related to the game, and that's the time for that. Like, hey, they ask about their dating life, or something else, like, oh, you just moved into this neighborhood. What, like, so they ask them personal questions, and it's like, that's fine if they want to go out in that conference afterwards and say something.
That's even the moment where a lot of the athletes are like, yeah, I thank God for the win,
Yeah.
and
but during the game,
that's fine.
During the game, it's a game. That's the central focus. It shouldn't be on anything else. It should be on which team won, who's making the good plays, coaching, things like that.
Related, but a little bit of a different controversy. It has to do with the WNBA, of which nobody watches. However, there was controversy because they all went to the locker room for the national anthem. However, they all walked out before it started, and then I think it was ESPN made a headline stating walked out during the national anthem in protest, and then they all came back and were like, no, we didn't do that. Nobody did that. And so ESPN was like, we're sorry. We made that up.
Oh, really?
They had to retract their statement because even in the WNBA, they were trying to support it. They didn't want to do the whole kneeling thing, so they went to the locker room. But they all left before it ever started. They were in the locker room when the national anthem started, and ESPN was like, there was a protest, and they all walked out during the national anthem. And then the ESPN had to retract it because they made it all up and were just jackasses.
Yeah.
Of which not a lot of people are concerned. Obviously, with the WNBA, it hasn't been that popular, but still, they had the dignity to
out during it. But that I was like, oh, okay.
Nope. It was before it started. They were told they could wait in the locker room while the national anthem played, and so that's what they did. Nobody walked out during. ESPN made that up. Just flat out lied about it and said it was a walkout protest. That's terrible. I mean, the only mainstream media attention they get, and it's a lie, and it's not even it's not blaming the women on doing anything bad. They're just fine. They'd rather not take a knee during what most other protesters are doing.
Yeah,
they just said, "Hey, we'll just wait it out in the locker room."
Yeah, because
and it still becomes.
It seems a little. It's like, okay, I at first I thought, I was like, man, that's terrible. But now that you're sitting, it's like, okay, they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. They go there, they stand up and stand up for the regular national anthem. They'll get booed or berated by somebody else. It's like they go out there, they take a knee. Well, then that half their fans are like, oh, they took a knee there, and then they're in a no-win situation.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we'll just not go out during the
Correct.
national anthem, so nobody knows if we took a knee or if we stood or whatever, and then we come out
Correct.
after.
And that's what they did. And ESPN still lied and still made it a national news story. And half the country still thinks they walked out during the national anthem, and they had to retract it because.
But that retraction went nowhere.
They don't have any real sports anymore to talk about. Now it's all politics.
Yeah. So
how terrible is it?
So the lie that they spread about them walking out during national anthem, that went everywhere. The retraction, nobody else mentioned that. So, I mean, because I don't watch ESPN,
Correct.
But I heard other people talking about the incident.
I heard that on another YouTube channel, and then I had to go read it myself. And then, that's what happened. ESPN
and the retraction goes a tenth of the places the original story went.
No, we did not. Yeah, so they had to print a retraction like a day or two later.
Yeah. All right.
Bunch of nonsense.
So there was something else that's been going on in the news this week, but I don't want to it is just a cringe fest, and too many other people have talked about it. But that was the hearing with Bob Barr, Bob Barr, Bill Barr, Bill Barr.
Bill.
I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Bill Barr.
With Attorney General Bill Barr, and it is a nightmare. The guy who thought the island of Guam was going to capsize was questioning the Attorney General's intelligence, and I'm like, dude, what? You thought the island was going to capsize? I wanted Attorney General Barr to say something like, wait, didn't you think the island was going to capsize? Aren't you that guy?
Yeah. Name one island.
Like, dude, this guy has no room to question anybody's
even one.
Intelligence.
Just that's not a thing. But
can you not see that?
Well, what I would like to say is watching Bill Barr during the Russian investigation, and then how he was pursuing the Ukraine investigation and how he's been conducting himself during all of this while pushing back the media and saying, I'm just doing my job.
Yeah.
Bill Barr has some massive steel balls.
Yeah.
Awesome guy. He's the kind of guy you pat on the back and say, thank you. Just, I'm glad you're doing your job as an American servant. You know, you're the attorney general and you've got all this garbage being heaped on you for doing your job. You ain't even investigated Trump. And they were all like, hey, best friend, oh, nothing. You're the worst. You belong in hell. You didn't find anything wrong with Trump. He's like, I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
Always
So,
just doing my job on.
Yeah. So my favorite response from him during the more recent one was the guy was talking. I was like, yeah, the archdiocese and the I don't know, the deacon or something like bishop, whatever Catholic office. They both condemned your action of clearing out that church before Trump came, and he's like, was that before or after we put out the fire? I was like,
since when is the Attorney General supposed to listen to any sort of archdiocese on anything? Yeah. Just okay.
Yeah,
it's
like the church was on fire.
Are we beholden
as the fire out, and then they cleared the area so that way Trump can go up there and hold the Bible in front of the church, being like, "Yeah, it's still standing. We saved it." And they're like, "Oh, how dare you clear that area?" Yeah. Like, okay, so they wanted the church to burn down. Is that the stance of the Catholic Church? It's like, yeah, we want all of our historical buildings to burn down.
Well, that is one thing I have noticed is he's not like quick to be thin-skinned or quip like Trump does, but when he says something, dude, it kind of stings because he's a no-nonsense guy. It seems he's focused on the moment and just does his job. I haven't really paid much attention to the Attorney General, but when watching his action, I'm like, that's a good guy to have in that position. What? Good job. Go America. We actually have people doing their job. Yeah. Good job.
We need more like him. Can we find 10 others of Bill Barr and put them in all over the place? I mean, so we've had other people that are like but then they got railroaded. Like General Flynn, highly respected by people.
Well, I mean,
but he got ousted by that whole nonsense.
Evident that he didn't do anything. Just pushed through the ringer like everybody else, and now it's coming back to bite the media right in the butt. It's Flynn's doing his job just like he was supposed to, and what are we looking at other than here's reports of a guy doing his job? I just
Yep, but didn't want to spend too much time on that. But it's in the news. Other people have covered it to death, but I figured it was worth mentioning in a little blurb, but rest of the stuff is all silly or cool stuff. So this was very unexpected. I did not expect to find this weekend, but don't know why it was in my recommendations, but I'm kind of glad it is, just for the sake of being able to show it here.
Why don't you put that crap down and come on over here? And that's what she says. And then they get into a fight. It's just, alright, I knew you couldn't handle this. It's crazy. We've been meeting in this crappy hotel for like 3 times a week, and it's going nowhere. And then I keep coming home with welts on my neck, and I got jumped by flying excuses starting to get phantom limb a wee bit suspicious. We need to make some ground rules. 1, no more this I need my space, you're crowding me crap. 2, I'm not your number 2, I'm your partner. Number 3, this whole Dr. Venture thing is over. I want you to give up this insane grudge you have with Dr. Venture once and for all.
I think that might be I don't know if that's my internet connection or if that's just my computer's running a little slow. Maybe that's because that seemed a little. So you heard the whole thing, right? That's okay. So I'm gonna explain what the situation is. This is
maybe that's what it.
So she is a female to male to female transgender. So biological female, thought she was trans, went on hormones, lived like a man for a year, realized, oh, that's not what's going on, went back, but because she was on a hormone replacement therapy for a year, she developed a masculine voice. But like that was a pretty accurate Dr. Girlfriend impersonation. And so the video here, she's going through it. She'd never heard of Dr. Girlfriend, but people were commenting on her videos saying, "Oh, it's like a real life Dr. Girlfriend." You watch Venture Brothers, right? No, maybe you're not familiar with that.
Oh, okay. Oh, now,
Dr. Girlfriend.
okay. Now I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
It wasn't clicking at first. I haven't seen Venture Brothers in like years. Okay. Oh.
So that's why it was my girlfriend who is a doctor. It's Dr. Girlfriend. Yeah.
Holy crap. Okay. Man, I watched that whole video. I'm like, what the hell is Dr. Girlfriend? And why is this dude? Okay.
Okay. So her voice.
It's terrible, but it's hilarious at the same time.
It's like that is so bizarre, and it's very weird to hear that voice coming out of her, because that's what everybody's like. I'm pretty sure she's got a penis, right? That's the joke throughout the Venture Brothers.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, but I didn't get the Dr. Girlfriend reference. I wasn't even thinking Venture Brothers till you said it. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I was like,
Yep.
something's not clicking right. So people were commenting on her videos saying that she's like the real like Dr. Girlfriend. So she did Google. She looked that clip up and was like, and so she decided to throw like a last minute costume together. Just got a jacket and some high heel boot or some boots, and I was like, dude, that's actually a pretty decent.
That makes so much more sense, because I was watching that just like, what? Why are you showing me this? Is that a dude dressed like a girl, or is that a girl acting like? What am I looking at? I don't know. The voice is weird, and what are they reading? I don't. It didn't make any sense until
Yeah. No, okay. I guess I needed a little more setup, but all right. So yeah, she
well,
was
I mean,
doing a cosplay of Dr. Girlfriend from Venture Brothers, and like I was like, her voice is not that deep. It's a little deep, but it's not. And then she can go lower. That's the thing, is she's getting her voice. Her typical talking registry is going up. After I think she's only been off of the stuff for a month or two, something like that. It's been so she's trying to get back in, and that's not her real hair. That's a wig and stuff. But
that's gotta be a little horrifying. Like, what if you're stuck that way? Like, what if you just effed yourself up forever?
And so that's kind of, this is a little bit of the silver lining of her situation, is because she's realizes she wants to be a girl. She's but she's got this deep voice, and so that's why people were like pointing out the Dr. Girlfriend. And she also has another video where she was singing a country song, and again, her voice is a little lower on the registry, and I can't say nothing about voice registry because I know mine's Mickey Mouse squeaky, but I can also go lower. No, that's not very low.
I can lower. Same picture with just that. I don't think it went any lower.
I can also go a bit lower. Now,
I can go much lower.
If I practice, I can go lower. Right there we go. Right, that's a bit lower. Right? No.
I don't know. I think you're at my normal talking level.
Yeah. So anyway, compare the videos where she's speaking normally in this video to one from June. You can tell there's a noticeable difference. Although how low she's able to move her voice, like when she's trying, is ridiculous. Like
maybe she could use that as a singing opportunity if she's got some chops. I don't know.
She does do. She sings a country song just to show how low she can go, and it's like it's kind of interesting. It's a little. It's kind of like I don't know. It's a very awkward feeling because you're like, that's amazing, but it's also slightly disturbing. So it's this weird. I don't know if that's good or bad, but yeah. And you're just like, it's crazy to hear a female go that low, but the only reason she can is because of the hormones. And she played a clip of what she was like before the transition, and you're like, I'm like, that looks like the typical, like, that looks like a typical Stacy, right? Like the typical girly girl. I don't understand why this person thought they were trans. And I mean, so I don't know the full situation. I know something about asexuality or something like that, but I saw the video and was like, dude, that's a pretty spot on Dr. Girlfriend. All right. So she's looking for silver linings to feel good about having the deeper voice because it's not. And I was like, and so.
Ugh, what was that guy? And there was some dude on like it was like this black guy with like a kind of high top haircut on like an America's Got Talent or something, and he started singing a country song like this low tone, like turn the lights down low, something. But I don't even remember the song.
I don't know either. But it's like, I think, yeah. So this.
Oh, that's a song. Your Man from Josh Turner. Baby, lock the doors and turn the lights down low.
Yeah, that one.
Put some music on that's soft and slow. Yeah. Like it just wasn't registered.
Like, I think she can.
Imagine like, trying to sing.
She can definitely hit those lower registers. Like, I think lower than what I can do, which is kind of emasculating. But yeah, maybe I just need to get some testosterone injection.
Drop that in, add it down a little bit. Like it. Yeah. It may be like a reverse kick in the nuts. You just got to tug them a bit and then
make them descend a little more.
Yeah.
No, it's not that big. So the reason for the voice lowering is because the cartilage around the throat thickens, which puts more pressure on the vocal cords, which compresses them more, which causes a deeper registry.
I don't know about that. It's
no, I do know about that because you can do that. You can squeeze your voice, and it goes lower without you trying anything.
Maybe I can go lower than like Johnny Cash.
Into a burning ring of fire.
Well, I've been something burning ring of
fire. There are things you can do as far as vocal exercises and stuff like that. And actually, now that you mentioned Johnny Cash, that's something Joaquin Phoenix he found he could go an entire octave lower by the time they started filming.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So he kept
like, ooh, I don't like to do that.
It's like, yeah, so
hey guys.
Yeah, so that's it does sound like Johnny Cash in that film, and it's like, but you hear that before he started filming, it's like, and he actually went lower by the time they were ready to film. It's like because he was practicing all. It's like, dude, that's pretty impressive to get an entire octave lower. But then again, he's not like a trained professional singer or anything like that, so he doesn't.
I don't know. I did watch that movie. I thought he was not too bad as a Johnny Cash impersonator. Surprisingly well. So.
Anyway, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, moving.
Now that you know it's Dr. Girlfriend, maybe rewatch that.
Yeah.
I rewatch that and be like, dude, that's like. So
I was thinking like a doctor's girlfriend, and I didn't understand what you was even reading until you mentioned Venture Brothers. Like, holy crap!
Yeah. So rewatch that section of the clip later. Well, maybe I'll replay it. But he does the Boston accent, and yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was pretty good. And I was like, okay, that's it. Like with a kind of thrown together costume at the last minute, pretty good. I'm pretty sure if she put a little more effort and planning into it, she could do like a scene from the cartoon in real life, and you'd be like, dude, that's the real life Dr. Girlfriend. What the what? You just need with a high pitched squealy voice to do. I could do that, right? I'm just not tall enough to be the monarch. It's like I've got a high pitched annoying voice, right? All right. So this is diversity done right. move on to the next clip. Uh-oh. I lose my internet connection, or what's going on here?
When people first started talking,
That's playing just fine. Why is it not playing over here?
Just click refresh.
What's the holdup here?
when people first started talking about diversity, I was a little apprehensive. But when I realized it just meant hiring a bunch of different colors of people who agree with me, I was all in.
Hold on. Like that, there's a definite lag there, right?
Okay.
Like the video is not syncing up with the audio, right? Was that just me?
Well, this is a
When I first started talking about diversity, I was a little apprehensive. But when I realized it just meant hiring a bunch of different colors of people who agree with me, I was all in.
Every job should be 50% women.
Well, I don't know if every job.
Do you have a problem with diversity, Osama?
No, I'm just saying that.
Anyone else here have a problem with diversity?
There's no biological difference between men and women.
Very diverse, guys. Great work. I pledge to fill every position other than mine with the most diverse staff of people who agree with me in the history of Silicon Valley.
Big tech needs to censor speech more.
All right, let's tweet another picture of the staff. Actually, let me get in the middle of this puppy. Okay, on a 3, say I'm with her. We have black guys that hate Trump, brown guys that hate Trump, Asians that hate Trump, women that hate Trump, LGBT who hate Trump. Our main export at Diversity Corp is the right opinions, but said by a black guy.
Russiagate.
Yeah, just do the other one too if you don't mind.
Oh, scientists should never be questioned.
Didn't even ask my resume. He asked me my 23andMe and my thoughts on Trump.
My interview was just him asking me if I had ever had sex with a woman.
Hey, what does the plus stand for in LGBT? You think we get like a plus that hates Trump?
I was like, yeah, I made out with a chick once in college. And then he said, okay, that's good enough.
Okay, Twitter just hired 4 new chick coders, and I'm thinking we need to up the heat with a new slogan. Any ideas?
What about we don't make any here, to be honest? Mainly.
This was pointed out by somebody in the comments.
Jeez. You think we could get a plus that hates Trump?
So when they put the other guy's name, Jeff Han, that's not how you spell Asian.
Yeah, we're just trying to get everybody of all different colors except for my job.
Yeah, so this is Ryan Long. This is the one that just came out with yesterday. This is, yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, so this is probably extreme parody.
But no,
However,
it is.
I would only question, is this actually happening? Like, is that
But I mean,
hiring these companies? Because
so the title of the video is every Silicon Valley company right now. So I'm like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. It's parody, but yeah, that's pretty much what they're doing.
Diversity, like every skin color except for mine.
So that's the same guy who did the racist versus the or racist and woke were the same.
Yeah. That week.
Yeah.
That was awesome. The whole, can we get somebody plus that hates Trump? It's awesome.
Yeah. Like, man,
Hey, oh, you didn't ask me if I kissed a girl in college, and it's like,
that's close enough.
yeah, what? I don't know. Okay, we get somebody plus that hates Trump. That is probably so spot on. Just, I mean, okay. As parody as that is, when you look at Mark Zuckerberg's face when he goes before the Senate to say, no, we're not discriminating, and they're reading out all this stuff, and you just see him like, what? That's what I imagine his HR department is like. This, and he's just sitting there like, the heck happened to my company? What do you mean this is going on?
That's one of the more surprising things. Because
I think as smart as that Zuckerberg dude is, what a dumb shit. His company just got ripped out from under him, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah.
I think he's a pawn to whatever's happening at his company. He doesn't run shit.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, because anytime he testifies Congress, I'm like, dude, this guy's he's actually surprisingly aware of some of this stuff. Like,
Yeah, because he doesn't want any of it.
So
He doesn't hire people. He doesn't talk to people.
Yeah, the more recent one, they asked all of the guy from Google and the guy from Tim Cook and all these people, the Jeff Bezos, were all on the same call, and they asked him if China's stealing technology, and all the other ones are like, "Oh, we can't comment." And Zuckerberg is like, "Yeah, of course they are." Like you have to be an idiot to not think China was stealing technology.
Yeah,
like,
I think
Zuckerberg just said that, and you're like, okay, so Zuckerberg's
he's one of those.
Yeah.
I think he's one of those CEOs who built a major conglomerate. It got sucked up in this leftist ideology, and he's the guy at the top with no say-so on what's going on, and yet he's the front face that has to go before the U.S. Senate. I think that's what's happening.
Like
that's why his face is
right? He's the king with no real power.
My company. Yeah, they're all kissing his butt and not telling him what's really going on, and he's got a ton of money, so he kind of doesn't care until he gets hauled in front of the rest of the country, and then he's like, "What's my company doing? They're what? No, we're not supposed to be doing that," and yet they are. They are like flat out. They even admit they are. Veritas, it comes out even worse. They're like, if they even mention Trump, we censor it. Just and he just sit there with a terrible blank look on his face because he has an HR department like that video. That's hilarious. I almost feel sorry for the dude, except for he's got multi-$100 million. So not really. I don't give two craps about him. He should wake up and take care of his own company. Dude, you built it. Take care of it. Do something with your stuff. Just. But yeah, I've imagined that for quite a while. That's an awesome skit.
Yeah. So Ryan Long, man, it seems like he's got a new something or other every day or every week. That's just, man, he's spot on. He's killing it in the comedy department. All right.
I don't even know if it's parody. I think he's just this is Project Veritas 2.0. It's just he just filmed this on the spot, and this is what happened.
All right. Hopefully this will start playing.
Always. First, you take the graham. You stick the chocolate on the graham. Then you roast the mallow.
Whoa!
Smalls, don't blow this for me. When the mallow's flaming, you stick it on the chocolate. Then you cover it with the other end. Then you scarf.
So this is obviously.
Okay. I only recognized one person in that entire video.
The rest of them look very different, except for the younger brother.
How is this not changed in like 30 years?
Yeah, he hasn't changed at all. Like, he still looks the same as he did in that movie. The rest of them have changed a lot.
Probably just like get a haircut and still play a 13-year-old.
Welcome to the Sandlot Cast reunion with our hosts, who are huge Sandlot fans, Justin and Courtney Turner. This reunion is benefiting the amazing job. Courtney, stay.
Okay.
What was his name? Ham? You're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah. Like, all of these guys look way different. This guy is the only guy I'm like, oh, that's
okay.
the younger brother.
What's his glasses? He was like forever.
Yeah, that's this
Squints. Okay, I can recognize him. Yeah, Squints.
Yeah. So this is the main character. This is, I think that's Benny, right?
I don't know. So I'm guessing small. So yeah, would have to be the guy on the bottom center, right? Is there? Yeah. Okay. The dude in the right center, like in between, he's that smaller, like the catcher. Or no. Ham was the catcher. He's the younger brother that kept like, pounding his fists into the mitt. And
this is
Man, who's the guy with the beard and the girl? I don't know who is that?
Oh, so these guys, these are not in the same line. This is the people who are running the charity this is for. So he's a professor.
Oh, okay.
And that's his wife, and they've got a charity.
Man, I don't recognize you from the movie at all.
So.
And then
That's gotta be
the dude on the
this
top
guy
right
is
the Michael Jackson dancing kid with like the pants rolled up.
Yeah. So then.
Okay. Oh no. That's
yeah, so it's kind of interesting.
the dude at the top is the kid who can like hit home runs. Top right.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name in the movie.
Because he was
Benny
Rodriguez
yep.
at the end, right?
The Jet. Okay. Yep. Okay, so I can start to recognize some of them, but
man, they changed.
Ham dude, like
he looks
how his face not changed at all. It's been like 30 years.
Yeah.
I was as a kid. Really? Wow.
Yeah, okay. So this guy's not Smalls, so I don't recognize him now. This is Smalls in the bottom left.
Yeah. The red shirt. He's small. He's got kind of that older baby face. So wait, so who's in the bottom center?
Oh, that's
with
like
the LA
director
hat.
Yeah, I think that's the director.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't remember seeing him in the movie. So I mean, yeah, I can kind of see it, and with the squints dude smiling, now I can kind of see it. Forever. Yeah, I say that every time I have to say the word forever. I can't say it just once. That movie is in my life.
You play ball like a girl.
Forever. Yeah, what an awesome movie.
Yeah. So that's been a pretty good silver lining for all the COVID stuff is these reunions for these classic films.
I'm liking those a lot. Just to watch everybody getting together, chit-chatting. You get to see, instead of the stupid tabloids, here's where they are, find out where they are now. You see them, and they're just people, just regular people having a chat. It's pretty awesome. Yep. I'm liking that a lot.
Yeah. So the only other thing is when they were making the s'mores, it kind of irked me. As a lot of them are using lighters, and I'm like, when you cook things over a flame like that, whatever gas you're using is soaking into your food. It's not good for you. It's just
first you take the mallow,
yeah.
Then you take the gram, put the mallow on the gram.
I was just saying that they're taking regular butane lighters, and I'm like, ooh, that marshmallow's gonna taste gross.
Yeah, you kind of need to have some charcoal beneath that. If you want a real smoke, get some of that ash in there.
Yeah. Because otherwise you're going to taste whatever gas liquid they were burning to torch it. And it's like, ugh. Watching those people eat s'mores.
Yeah.
Like, nope, those are not going to taste good. All right. So that was kind of cool. This, again, I don't know why this was in my recommended, but pretty good.
Here we go, baby.
Dwayne Johnson is undoubtedly the voice of Maui in Moana, but his little daughter still refuses to believe it, even after this.
Just messing around. I killed an eel, I buried its guts, sprouted a tree, now you got coconuts. What's the lesson? What does it take away? Don't mess with Maui when he's on a breakaway. And the tapestry here on my is a map of the victory site. Look where I've been, I make everything happen. Look at that, meaning Maui just tick. Hey! Well, anyway, let me say you're welcome for the wonderful world you know. Hey, it's okay, you're welcome, because the world really wants to know, is Daddy Maui? No. Are you kidding? Or are you serious? Is Daddy Maui? No. Okay, you want to see it again? All right, for the 3,000th time.
That is adorable.
I don't know what it is about him. He seems like just a really wholesome, awesome guy. I mean, even some of the movies you watch him in, and then you're just like, I think I'd like to hang out with that guy. Just, but yeah, watching him sitting there with his daughter, you're like, man, that's even better. What a really good guy. I don't know what it is. He just yeah, and you look at his face like, eventually she's gonna have to learn it.
Yeah, so it's pretty cute. And like, dude, look at the size difference. Like, his arms are. That's all. I
Oh yeah,
can't
she's
help but
the
think of, like, dude, that guy is a mountain. What?
Yep. But I mean, how cool would that be when she grows up and then looks back and it's like, my dad was like a pro wrestler, and then in all these movies, and one of my favorite, movies growing up, and I didn't even know that was him. That's awesome.
All right. So that's all I've got, and then I've got the ending clip, which which I made reference to earlier, but anything else? Any other thoughts for the week? Because we're gonna go ahead and end on. Man, it's a long video, so I might have to skip forward on a couple of sections of it. But
Oh yeah, I don't have really anything else going on this week. Yeah, typical 2020 week. Just COVID and lockdown and potential riots and whatever. So just everything else is much anticipated.
Yep. So at least there's nice little breakaways and videos and unexpected. Oh, that's interesting. To keep us occupied, but this was really cool. So 16 minutes, but I'm not going to play the whole thing.
It will. Hold up. Rewind that about 2 seconds. Did he climb the ladder, get on the roof, and jump right back down when it started? I mean, it was pretty cool looking.
Chalked and loaded.
That just seemed weird. Like, why did you climb the ladder?
Come on.
It's a really cool concept, really well implemented. Kind of reminds me of rocket jump videos, but this is from a different group.
The main thing I'm disappointed with is that looks better than most of what we grew up with. And that's not even a movie.
Yeah.
That's I mean, yeah, it's chalk. You can tell it's like, maybe After Effects, or I don't know what program they're using, but the shots they're using seem like they're from straight up action movies. The way the camera stands in certain scenes, that puts to shame about 95% of the movies I saw growing up in the 90s. That's just
and it's shame a lot of the special effects in some current movies. I'm like, man, why don't they hire these guys to do their movies like some
Yeah.
more current films? You're like, dude, why is this CGI so bad?
Or yeah, even the action scene. I think maybe that's why John Wick kind of took everything by storm. Is people like finally something that's in your face and pretty, realistic without chopping to a bunch of nonsense. You just get to see what's happening. So here, yeah, I mean they're dealing with chalk, but you're watching it happen rather than it pan around in 20 cuts to have Liam Neeson hop over a fence. It's kind of nice.
Okay, let's see here.
Oh.
Yeah, that'll work.
That thing was really cool. Wait, I know that guy.
Need a
magic
hand?
guy. Right? King something? That guy. He does all the
What? On YouTube?
Yeah, he's really famous. He does like the where he like pulls stuff out of his laptop screen and it's there. It's just what's his name? King something.
Oh, I don't know.
Magic guy King. Zach King. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, because they got the special thanks for a bunch of this stuff.
Oh, there he is, right? Yeah, I just recognize his face. That dude is. I've been watching some of his videos for quite a few years now. He's. Yeah. Well, presented in the way of like a magician, but it's a lot of visual special effects, and he's really good at it.
All right, and there's one last scene I want to show off here.
Wait, how did they do that?
I don't know.
He was walking, but not moving. Or unless that was like entirely green screen and he was on a treadmill or something. Oh, it's also weird that doesn't take a look in that where he's got like chalk goggles and a hand. And I'm like, wait, how's he moving and not moving?
I don't have enough rocket in there. We're gonna have to do a fuse. What?
Face it, it's over.
Okay, strike it.
Like I said, I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but a lot of really cool concepts, a lot of really well done.
Yeah, some very good camera angles, great shots.
Yeah.
I mean, the visual effects are supposed to look cheesy because they're chalk, but it fits right in with what they're doing.
So this is Chalk Warfare 4.
Very well done.
That means there's 3 more
But again,
of these that exist out there, and I can see this one on my recommended where it shows a dude in an Iron Man suit. I'm like, oh, how was I not aware of these? So this one just came out in July, but this one says it was part 3 was from 6 years ago. Maybe that's why I'm not familiar with these.
6 years ago.
That's a pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty big. Maybe that's the first one. Oh yeah, 2014.
So crispy meat. Maybe maybe Zach King watched it and was like, "Hey, why don't we try another?" But yeah, if you look at that dude up, he's got tons of stuff on his YouTube. Like, I think he's got a couple of million subscribers.
Yeah, and so in the description, they kind of describe some of the technologies they're using. Blackmagic design cameras, Blackmagic RAW. and DaVinci Resolve Studio. So a lot of cool stuff that I'm not familiar with. Like I'm struggling to do stupid little not Photoshop, but that free thing that you mentioned a while ago for my little thumbnails. I'm getting slightly better at it.
Whatever works.
But I've been a little lazy on the thumbnails for the past 2 videos. It's just been text edits, but eventually I'll get back to pasting people's faces on different images. But I was like, so that was a really cool video. So, but
yeah, we'll have to check that out.
All I had for this week. And
oh, I do have one recommendation for you.
Okay.
Maybe it's on Hulu. I'm not sure where you actually find the real series. So the guys who did Super Troopers, or at least 2 of them, Farva and the other dude with the mustache who got shot in the crotch.
Oh.
But they've got a TV show that started last year, Tacoma FD. They're like fire department guys. It's a mix of The Office and Super Troopers, so it's not as random and just off the walls dumb as Super Troopers, even though it fit awesome in that movie. But it's not as like you don't have the Michael guy who's the boss. That they make more sense, but there is definitely some hilarious stuff. So I watched the first season and it's pretty funny. I didn't know those guys were actually still doing anything.
Yeah. All right.
But at least 2 of the guys, and there's some cameos here and there from some of the other guys from the whole Lizard, whatever their crew was.
Yeah.
Broken Lizard, yep. But yeah, I think it's worth checking out. So Tacoma FD, and I think it's on the FX channel.
Oh,
maybe.
So
and
did you watch Legion? Or at least the first episode of Legion?
Oh, no, I haven't found. So it's not on Netflix. I'm gonna have to find out where I can
It's on Hulu,
subscribe.
It's on FX. If it was on the FX network,
Oh.
so yeah, you should be able to.
I don't have Hulu. I've got other sources that I'm not gonna put out there.
If you can,
so
yeah. So I do have Hulu, but that's where I was watching it.
So I'll probably start watching that. I think by tomorrow, once I finish the second season of FD.
So it is really well done. I haven't watched the whole first season. I think I'm only like 2 episodes, maybe 3 in, but it's really, really well done. So I'm trying to catch up there. The other thing is Umbrella Academy came out this week, so I don't know if you've seen that or caught up on season 2.
I'm on episode 2 or 3 of that.
All right.
Well, my computer keeps freezing up, and every time it freezes up, I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna watch something else. But the first episode, pretty awesome on that one. The Umbrella Academy, like the very beginning was just, that was really cool.
Wait, sorry.
With everybody doing their superpower stuff, and it's like World War III.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, so I did see that.
Yeah.
So I haven't caught up with the whole season yet. That's another thing on my list. I'm like, God, I need more free time.
Yeah, I know. How can I watch 3 different episodes of 3 different series at the same time? Yeah. I need to learn how to do that.
Yep. So, because at least with the YouTube videos, I can have those running in the background or whatever, because most of it's them talking, and I don't have to. But the visual stuff, I gotta take time to set. But yeah, so for Umbrella Academy, I could watch the episodes by listening to them and just kind of piece the story, but I'd rather watch the episode because
that one you need a little more visual.
Umbrella Academy, you need the visuals to go with the dialogue. Same thing with Legion, because the editing and the cinematography on that, outstanding for a TV show.
Yep. So yeah, unfortunately, that's only relegated to my evenings. In the daytime, it's just kind of news. Let it play in the background while people yak.
All right, but that is it. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream there. Thanks to anybody who ended up watching this. We are moving Tuesdays, trying to shoot for 7, but depending on when I get off of work, 7:30 seems to be working better for me lately. But it's already this one went for 2 hours. longer than expected, but some of the topics we talked about were a little more substantial. So thanks to anybody who joined, and we'll catch you here next Tuesday. Well, I should have said see you next Tuesday, but whatever.